Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays, The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. I'm excited to tell you, this is a one-of-a-kind episode. Well, not one-of-a-kind. It's, you know, it happens once a year, let's put it that way. 4RQYJ4FX, bad speed, bad rate of fire, bad damage, good HP, some decent incidental items. I think we're going to be fine early, but we're on the razor's edge to some extent. Thank God for Little Monstro. Anyway. Why is it a landmark? Ooh, why is it an interesting episode? It's by definition, there can be only one per year. It's been 1 week since it's the episode recorded the morning after daylight savings time has ended. So we're in spring forward. I sprung forward last night. I mean, I was explaining it to Kate. You know, there's some irony. You know, she was like, I'm not really looking forward to the clock springing forward tonight. And I was like, you know, you get like an hour less sleep. What's the big deal? You know, back in 1943, Granddad was flying Spitfires. You know, doing anti-bomber drills during the Blitz. And I'm gonna complain about getting one less hour of sleep? That's not really fair, because my grandfather was born in, like, the 1930s. He definitely was not flying Spitfires. Anyway, ignoring all of this, because it's irrelevant to begin with. Of course, after saying it's no big deal, I mean, it's still... Yikes, dude. Please. It's still not a big deal. But I slept like garbage last night. I did the thing that you're never supposed to do, okay? Instead of, and this is a tough one, man. I don't know. I think I'm actually going to go with the pony just for survivability. Instead of going to bed at the normal time and eating the hour of sleep lost, which would have been fine, you know? Oh no, you get, you know, 6.5 instead of 7.5 hours of sleep. You notice it, but it's like almost imperceptible. You go to sleep the next night and it's all good. Instead of doing that, I went to bed an hour early. I broke my own routine trying to get out of... Oh, thank God. Trying to get out ahead. And be like, you know, I'm a responsible adult. Daylight savings isn't going to take an hour from me. I don't know if you experience the same thing I do. If I go to... Let's say my bedtime's midnight. If I go to bed at midnight... I will be asleep by 12:30. If I go to bed at 11 to try to get an extra hour of sleep, I'm not gonna fall asleep until, you know, 2:30. It's just something about busting up your routine. Your brain goes like, trying to sleep, huh? Well, I could put a stop to that real quickly. Anyway, so I mean, it's not like it was a terrible night. I just didn't sleep very well. And just because of the bizarre psychological effect of, like, knowing I'm gonna get an hour less sleep, all of a sudden, it just, you know, it became an untenable situation. My brain was like, if you go to sleep now, you're gonna get 8 hours of sleep. A minute later, if you go to sleep now, you're gonna get 4 minutes of sleep. Not really how it works, but... That's why I think I have a revolutionary new theory. If the baby boomers and baby zoomers won't vote for the abolition of daylight savings time, here's what we do, okay? Spring the clocks forward, but don't tell anybody. Do it on a Sunday, so, you know, not everybody's gonna have something important going on. What a thrill, dude. And you think we're doing fine on HP? We must be doing fine on HP because we have at least 1 Spirit Heart. I hope we have more than 1 Spirit Heart. We have 3 Spirit Hearts, beautiful. We must have more than 1 Spirit Heart because we also got Egghead. Egghead and the matchbook. Anyway, obviously I'm being facetious, but for me personally, for my own unique situation, it would have been better. If they, instead of being like, hey, it's daylight savings time, or we're springing forward, buddy. If instead of that, they were just like, you know, you woke up and you looked at your clock and it was an hour later and you're like, go daylight savings! I didn't even notice. I thought I felt very, very slightly more tired today. Anyway, the obvious counter-argument is, hey, you privileged moron, you can wake up whenever you want. Yeah, but part of being like, responsible in a job where you make your own hours is... It's kind of like it's the with great power comes great responsibility sort of thing, you know? Just because Spider-Man, if he wanted to, he could, you know, rob a bank and not get caught. That doesn't mean he should rob a bank. Or even that, you know, we would find it acceptable for him to rob a bank and then be like, well, you know, he has saved a lot of people, let's let him rob a bank. The fact that I can choose to get up whenever I want is exactly why I have to eat the sleep loss on a night like this and just, you know, keep my routine steady. Oh, that was such a bad dodge. And I'm not complaining about it, I'm just saying. I get the right to complain about lost sleep just like the rest of y'all, okay? Every other YouTuber in the game, maybe not every other YouTuber, I don't know every other YouTuber, only 95%. Every other YouTuber in the game, sorry I'm late, bro, daylight savings time. There was nothing I could do, dude. Throws their sleep schedule out of whack for 10 years. Me, one night of bad sleep, get back on the horse. And that's how you end up having Isaac every day, so don't even question it. May I say so? I don't even... you might think that I want to not talk about Captain Marvel because of the controversy. This is where I insert a picture of Tommy Lee Jones from the 1996 movie The Fugitive. Don't at me. It's still Harrison Ford's best movie. I believe it 100%. I know he was in Raiders of the Lost Ark. I know he's in The Empire Strikes Back. If you haven't seen The Fugitive, it's one of those movies, maybe it came out in 93 actually, now that I think about it. It's kind of like Face Off, where I really think people believe that The Fugitive is terrible, but actually, you know, they haven't watched it for themselves. If you watch The Fugitive for yourself, you will realize that's a dang good movie. Anyway, I saw it, I have two memories of watching The Fugitive. One was when I was like 7 years old in daycare. The older kids watched The Fugitive on VHS, and the daycare providers were like, hey, you're a younger kid, you can't watch this movie, there's like murder and Harrison Ford. You gotta go into the nap time room. So I went into the nap time room, and then through the door, I peered out and I watched the movie and remember nothing. Then I watched it because I was introduced by a friend in university who said exactly what I just said to you right now. Like, dude, you haven't seen The Fugitive? And I was like, I kind of thought it was like a meme movie. And he's like, what's a meme? It's 2007. And I was like, oh, you haven't read The Selfish Gene? You might be hearing a little bit of vacuum-related white noise as well. What did I tell you about cat fur and vacuuming in the recent video? There is no respite from the vacuum. Anyway, I really could not care less about the controversy around the comic book movie. If you care about it, I was gonna say that's fine. What I really mean when I say that's fine is you do you, you know? If you're like, I hate Brie Larson because of what she said, and if you're okay, cool. Brie Larson should be able to say whatever she wants. That's cool. You know, I got other stuff going on in my life, apparently. That being said, I did go see it at the multiplex on Friday. I went in, and it's not going to be a Marvel episode, I promise, to the best of my ability. It was, I went in expecting one of the lesser Marvel films, and I left pleasantly surprised. I really felt like it was pretty good. And, you know, the one thing I'll say about it, I really think it was, like, one of the funniest Marvel movies. And I know there's people out there who are... There's two types of Marvel fans, you know? There's those who are like, I like the serious Marvel movies. And there's those who are like, I like the funny Marvel movies. Believe it or not, I'm one of the people who is like, I like the serious Marvel movies. I like the ones that are kind of... They're steeped in the real world. You know, like the Captain America movies past the first one. Those are the ones that really tickle my fancy, to be honest. But, you know, I don't dislike the funny ones. I would put this one below Thor Ragnarok, but, like, certainly more humorous than something like Thor the Dark World. Anyway, Mew Mew. That's my review of Captain Marvel. I can't give you the other anecdotes from the movie theater because they would involve spoilers, but suffice it to say there was a huge group of dorks near us in the theater who, whenever anything happened related to Marvel Cinematic Universe lore, they would say what it implied really loudly, as if like they were the only people who could figure out, you know? Let me give you, this is a hypothetical example, okay? And I'm being 100% sincere. A good hypothetical thematic example would be like, you know, what if an Infinity Stone showed up in the movie? They would say really loudly, like not even whispering, like in a conversational voice in the quiet theater, they'd be like, "That's the Infinity Stone," and everyone was looking around like, "Yeah, dude, it's opening night of a Marvel movie in 2018. You think everybody in here does it?" Meanwhile, on the screen, like right after they say it, you know, one of the characters will be like, "Is that an Infinity Stone? I told you. I told you, dude." Anyway, that's, as far as movie theater grievances go, that one's pretty minor. I'm not gonna hate on them for having a good time at the movies. I just wish, I mean, every anecdote that I have where I feel like people are behaving badly in public, it essentially just boils down to, please be quiet. For the most part, it's like, hey, be polite and also shut your mouth. Nobody cares. That's basically what I was. Sorry, that's the tired voice coming out. I was thinking about it. I was like, well, you know, what's my virtue? What's my platonic ideal for public behavior? And it's really like, I don't want to say like, you know, you don't speak unless you're spoken to, but you know, kind of. All I'm saying is, if you're making a joke in a movie theater, it's gotta slap, dude. You know, I'm not afraid to brick a joke, but when I brick a joke, it's on my show that people are watching because they like me. You know, you gotta know your audience, or because they have made watching me a habit and are afraid what would happen if they stopped. So when I brick a joke, you know, people are like, you know, we kind of bought into the idea that there might be some jokes here, and some of them are not gonna work. When you go see a movie and a stranger's like, "Captain Marvel?" More like, "Craptin' not marvelous." You're like, really? Like, it's gotta be one heck of a... It's gotta be like in the Reader's Digest top 10 best told jokes of all time, if that's gonna make it happen. Cause like, you're dealing with a captive audience that doesn't want to be there. Well, they want to be at the movies. They don't want to hear you talk, is what I mean. Depths XL. So we are, for the first time in a while, yo, really smart move there. We're gonna get a chance at boss rush. The last thing I'm gonna say is, like, I know I'm painted as like a Marvel fanboy, and I definitely have a positive bias towards Marvel movies. The only one I've really gone out of my way, and ooh, sure, why not? Let's get weird. The only one that I've really gone out of my way to be like, I really thought it's kind of a missed opportunity in the past couple of years was Ant-Man 2. And I liked it okay, but I thought it was relatively not good. But I do think that some people use, you know, negativity as a shorthand for credibility. Credibility is telling things like they are, not having an opinion that's equally balanced between positive and negative. And I think that's where things have gone a little off the rails. You know, if Marvel truly bricks up a movie, if they put out a Suicide Squad-esque disaster, I will be there opening night and I'll be like, man, they really screwed this one up. I kind of thought there was maybe like a 30% chance that was going to be Captain Marvel. And yet, I left despite going in thinking like, maybe I left thinking it was more positive than I otherwise would have because of the fact that my expectations were set low. But anyway, I would still, if you're a Marvel fan, every Marvel movie, I think it just hits the same notes at this point. If you're a Marvel fan, like, go see it. If you don't care about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, don't go see it, you know? It's just that easy, brother. It's kind of a terrible review when you think about it, because literally you don't even need the movie to come out for me to say that. But still, I don't know. It's like a Dynasty Warriors game, right? Even if I saw, like, if the Dynasty Warriors games were getting, you know, if the newest one's getting a 12 out of 10 from every outlet, I would still probably be like, I don't really like Dynasty Warriors, so I'm not going to go out of my way to see it. And if the Dynasty Warriors game got a 6, I would be like, there you go, just another Dynasty Warriors game. Anyway. That was, I mean, that was my Friday. How was the rest of my weekend? It was good. Low-key. My in-laws came up to Canada. Normally, we go down to the United States. It's driving distance, so it's not like it's a major voyage or anything like that. But it was nice to just, you know, because most of the time when we go to their house, it's like, you know, you're there for like 5 or 6 hours because you made a 3-hour drive to be there. This time they had been up for a couple of days. They're staying with my mother and father-in-law. We just got lunch. It was like an hour lunch. We talked, you know, hey, what's new with you? Not much. What's new with you? Not too much. And then, you know, my nieces told me a couple of jokes, really bad. Let me run them by you. I'm sure you've heard them before. Uncle Ryan, why are fish so smart? And I said, they swim in schools. And then she got like a really grumpy face. Like, you're not supposed to. She had like, I broke kid etiquette. You know, kid etiquette is like, I guess when a kid tells you a joke, you're supposed to pretend you don't know it. And I'm like, listen, lady. First off, you're not my kid. I didn't sign this contract. Secondarily, I'm hilarious. Okay? If you can get one by me, that means you beat me. And I'm essentially, at this point, I'm a professional comedian, probably one of the funniest people on planet Earth. So, if you can get one by me, you must be like the freaking Sidney Crosby of jokes, alright? Plus, you didn't even make that one up. I heard that one back in, like, you know, 1993. It's probably invented in the 20s. Then she hit me with another one. She said, what did the... And you're going to think that I'm ruining this joke. Wrong. Remember, it was told to me by a 7-year-old. She said, what did the ketchup say to the tomato? And I said, you know what? I don't know. And then she said, ketchup. And I said, I don't get it. And then she said, and this is, I'm not messing with you. She said, it's catching up to the bus. And I said, why is ketchup on a bus? And then she said, because there's fish on it. And I said, and I thought this was pretty good, I said, oh, because the fish are going to school. And then she gave me a grumpy look. And then she was like, yeah, that's what I meant. And I was like, no, it wasn't. But you know what? That one's on the house. That's the benefit of having a hilarious member of your family, is you workshop these jokes for free. That was basically it. I watched the Canucks game. We were down 5-1. At the end of the first period, I stopped watching the Canucks game. I gotta tell you, man, I've been playing more. I played a lot of F1 2018 this weekend, but you know, it's a racing game. There's not a whole lot to talk about. But you know what? I played a lot of Tetris 99 as well, and they started a tournament, you know, which is cool. I'm glad that they're doing stuff to keep the player base engaged. But the tournament is like, hey, the top, 1,000 players of the game are going to win $10 to the Nintendo eShop. The level of cutthroat, bloodthirsty, elite play that I have seen as a result of that incentive is hilarious to me. You know, I had previously, I'd been settled into like a little bit of a groove in Tetris 99. You know, if I played for a couple hours a night, I was good for getting a win, maybe 2 if things were going really well. Ever since the tournament, I wouldn't say I've been getting bodied, but I haven't picked up a W. Few second places, but having to fight for those second places. These people really want the gift certificate, dude. I don't even want the gift certificate. Let me be real with you. Here's where I'm at with my perspective of my own self-worth versus the value of $10 on the Nintendo eShop. A win in Tetris 99 is worth more than $10 to my self-esteem. Especially $10 I can only spend on the Nintendo eShop. I would say every single win I get in Tetris 99, if we're gonna measure our self-worth like an insurance company, in terms of, you know, fiscal dollars only, every win is worth like $25 to me. The first one was worth like $250. Every one since then has been worth $25. I feel better about myself for like the whole day after I win in Tetris 99. It's like I got myself a special treat. So I gotta like wait for the tournament to be over because my self-esteem is getting destroyed here. I thought about playing the Demon Judgment. We probably could have made something happen, but we are like pretty low on HP. That was extremely dumb. You should be toast, dude. Can I just say, and far be it for me to complain about a run in which we have the ability to fly in Brimstone, but our damage is still terrible. Our rate of fire is actually even worse. We really, and that's not gonna help, dude. We got a surprising... We got issues, let's put it that way. And Charm of the Vampire is not very good, but neither is Notched Axe. Anyway, apparently, daylight savings is being quote-unquote looked at, you know, in British Columbia. It's possible that the daylight savings that we just went through, that horrible ordeal, it's possible that'll be the last daylight savings in British Columbia for, you know, I don't want to say forever because, you know, who knows, but, you know, for a while. Let's put it that way. And, you know, you ever, I think everybody's got a certain level of political tolerance, right? You know, like probably the majority of, it depends where you live, I'm sure. Is this spun? Oh, we're one away from spun. So the virus could be good here. I would say probably, you know, like more than 50% or close to 50% of the population here is engaged in some level in federal politics, you know? They have a political party they tend to support. They, you know, they go to a website that is specifically tailored to the way they lean politically, and then they regurgitate the headlines of those articles, because who has time to read anytime anybody asks them about who they support, and so on and so forth. And then, you know, on a provincial, which is it's basically a state level, I don't know, maybe like 1 in 10 people here is engaged, you know. Most British Columbians could probably name the premier of the province, and most could probably tell you what party he's in, but beyond that, you know what's their platform, what's their goal, etc., etc. Again, it depends on the blogs, you know. Restoring sanity to the housing market or engaging in anti-capitalist prohibitive taxes in an effort to, you know, erode the wealth of the older generation. One of the two. When you get into, you know, really minute local politics, and I'm probably at the provincial level, you know. When you get into really minute local politics, like, hey, they're gonna put an extra bus lane in on Canby, and then if you want to fight that, you got to go to like the town hall, and there's gonna be somebody who owns a bakery there that's like, I've got one patron that's been coming here for 16 years, and she always parks in the spot the bus is gonna park in. What am I supposed to tell her? And well, you know, I'm not really gonna give you my opinion on that, but I'm extremely pro-bus, regardless. Maybe tell her that she could take the bus to the bakery. Just saying. That's just one. You could park at the back, you know. You could park in a parking lot a block away and then walk, and then, you know. Anyway, that's pretty much where I'm at. You know, I'm not gonna say that it's a major political issue of our times. You know, we got bigger fish to fry when it comes to stuff that's on the political docket. But I would support the end of daylight savings. I just think, like, I get the reason for it. I will say I'm not really looking at it from the lens of people who actually take advantage of daylight savings. Like, you know, I don't have kids that get on the school bus at like 5:45 in the morning or something like that. I don't want my kids to be exposed to a world that doesn't have sunlight. Oh my god, we didn't get hit. I understand, sort of. I mean, conceptually at least. I just feel like it's a whole lot of hullabaloo, you know? It's not really that much of an inconvenience, but I always... this is one of the enduring arguments I make on what I'm going to call this show. It's one of the enduring arguments I make on this show. Is the fact that something is more convenient doesn't make it worse just because it's easier. Some people I truly think believe that, you know? They think that if something is easier to do, then that means by merit it's actually worse. And you're, like, lazy for doing it. So, I mean, I hear you out there right now, even if you don't hear yourselves. I read your thoughts. Oh, a privileged coastal elite YouTuber complains about losing 1 hour of sleep once every 365 days. Okay, well, why don't we make daylight savings, and instead we'll do 2 hours, we'll fall back, and then, we'll slowly, like, once a week, we'll spring forward like 15 minutes, you know, over the course of 2 months. That way, I mean, you get, here's the pros, okay? You get more daylight savings instead of merely getting an hour. What's up?
I found Tomo poop on your side of the bed. I cleaned it up. I just wanted to let you know.
Tomo pooped on my side of the bed?
It was a Tomo dolphin.
Oh, it was attached to his butthole. I see. Oh, that's Tomo. He left me a present. Anyway, that's pretty gross. I'm just gonna choose not to think about it. But it's not like he does it. Tomo. Here's the thing. I love my son, but his brain is the size of an acorn. You know, he doesn't know, he knows not what he does. Anyway, yeah, like, why not? Okay, I'll tell you what, you know, it's not like the days on October 30th get an hour shorter instantly, you know, they get, hey, I'm like 1 minute shorter, 3 minutes shorter, 5 minutes shorter. Why don't we just change it every single day? That would be the most apt solution. That way we would get the maximum amount of appropriate daylight savings without squandering any of it. You know, that's like the logical, it might seem like a logical extreme, but isn't that the argument? It's like, hey, you know, a perfect solution is worth being inconvenienced. You know, you could make a lot of things better by making them substantially more inconvenient. Better in terms of their function, at least. I feel like I'm kind of on a fishing expedition here, but you know what I mean, perhaps. You know the spirit of my argument. Daylight savings is already a compromise for convenience. So to say, like, you know, oh, well, I don't like to be inconvenienced. Wham. Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, I can tidy up after this.
I told you to tell you one night.
Yeah, I know, but I'm building a moment here, and mid-moment I keep getting distracted. Well, that's all I'm saying, okay? Convenience is a very, you know, I don't idolize the people, you know, like Steve Jobs, etc., etc. And, you know, I think you can probably glean that from me from the way that I talk about, you know, people like Tim Ferriss. But, you know, I think there is, you know, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know, there's some good and some bad in the philosophies that these types of people tend to espouse. One of the good things, I think, is reducing cognitive overhead, not wasting your time and your life worrying about things that are relatively inconsequential, you know? So I could apply that same argument to myself and just go, hey, stop worrying about daylight savings time. Or I could have a mass effect and start lobbying for the reduction or complete abolition of daylight savings time to reduce that cognitive overhead on everybody. You know, so I will always fight for the value of convenience. You know, I think you can take convenience to the extreme. Like, for example, my good friend Austin, instead of learning, and I don't say basic to be insulting to him, but instead just to be objective. Instead of learning basic cooking skills, which would take definitely less than a weekend of preparatory work, and I mean like less than a few hours on a weekend, he orders delivered food twice a day. I think that that's a little bit of convenience gone amok. As much as, and he knows it's not like this is coming out of nowhere. I will defend, he has a sound argument. Even though I disagree with it, I can understand where he's coming from. That like, well, if I learned how to cook, I'd have less time to stream. I'm like, well, you know, as long as you put it in that context, it's very hard to argue against it, which I think is by design. Simultaneously, you know, you'd save a lot of money, probably have a more balanced diet. You'd have better control over the timing of your meals instead of being at the whims of the DoorDash driver, etc., etc. But anyway, there's people on the other side of the spectrum that are like, I will never use DoorDash. Just because it's convenient, I see it as like a temptation from Beelzebub, the Lord of the Flies. I will never be tempted. Plus, who has time to install the DoorDash app? I'm too busy taking all of my clothes in a big barrel outside and then scraping them against the washboard to get all the filth out. You know? Do you see where I'm coming from here? People only call it a logical extreme when they disagree with it, for the record. When you agree with me, you're like, he's making a good point. If you disagree with me but can't figure out why, you just go, logical extreme. That's right, I've been down this road before. I'm aware of the rhetorical tricks and tips. It's the same argument, and I don't know, I didn't look at the discourse. I don't know if anybody commented on the Norman door bit that I ran. It's not really a bit, it's just interesting to me. The idea that, you know, you could... doors are... they have a very simple function. Most of them are either push or pull. Maybe you twist a knob in order to push or pull. However, why is it that, you know, 1/10 of the time you go up to a door, you hit the wrong way? Is it that 1/10 of the time is so traumatic for you that it's a major problem that needs to be solved? No, but it can be solved with just, you know, 10 seconds of better design. It's the same. I was thinking about it. Kate and I were at the movie theater, right? And I don't know if you heard it. I watched Captain Marvel. It slapped. It's the greatest movie ever made. Actually, it sucked. No, actually, it was like pretty good. But the movie theater has been outfitted with what used to be, you know, a novelty, but is now everywhere. It's commonplace. The Coca-Cola Freestyle machine. Used to be, you know, fountain drinks you would get served by the person that took your concession order. They'd be like, hey, what do you want to drink? And you'd be like, root beer. And then they'd fill up the root beer for you and pass it to you. Now they give you a cup and they send you to the Coca-Cola Freestyle machine. And I'll admit, when the Freestyle machine came out, it was like, I wouldn't say a revelation, but I thought it was so cool. It's like, look at this. First off, it's got a touch screen. No more pushing buttons, when instead you could just push on an incredibly unreliable LCD screen. That everybody else who, I see you in the bathroom, you don't wash your hands, and then you touch the haptic screen. Anyway, no, it's cool. I ran cold water over them for 2 seconds while I was checking my cell phone. Then, what else did I like about it? Look at all the dynamic flavors. Why would I have just plain Coca-Cola like it's the freaking Great Depression, when instead I could have Coca-Cola with a little bit of artificial apricot in it. And then, of course, you know, the thing that everybody knows now about the Coca-Cola Freestyle machines is that every drink kind of tastes like every other drink as a result of the fact that all the same nozzle is used for every drink, I think, at least. Anyway, they all seem to have kind of just like a vague fruit flavor attached to them. Where are we going? Okay, this way. Dude, I still think we might lose this run, bizarrely enough. Anyway, the thing that really gets me about the Coca-Cola Freestyle machine is that I feel like, and again, I need to preface this by saying, is it a minor concern? Yes. I mean, it's like the most minor concern. I can't get the soda I paid for fast enough. You know, but still... Again, just because I'm arguing in favor of convenience, that doesn't make me wrong. It also doesn't make me lazy. Just as like, you know, what if they had you, is the metaphor I always use. What if for no reason whatsoever, they just had you answer like a skill testing question before you could push the button? Oh, I don't want to use my brain. It's not like that. It's just like, dude, I paid for the soda. Let me get it. Here's the average, and this is the thing that bugs me the most about the Coca-Cola Freestyle machine. Here's the average experience I have while waiting to use a Coca-Cola Freestyle machine. Person in front of me goes, oh, this is the first touchscreen I've ever seen in my life. I don't know what to do with this. So they went up there and they were probably like, I want a Coca-Cola. What do? Mr. Pibb, I haven't seen that in a long time. Click on Mr. Pibb. Oh, look at this, honey. Mr. Pibb Orange, Mr. Pibb Strawberry. Remember that from the 1970s? They go back. Ooh. They got water in this thing? Wow, that's amazing. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there, just like, I would just like to fill my cup, please. Then finally, they're like, okay, enough dilly-daddling. I get it. We live in the Jetsons, okay? Then they go click on what they want, and they, you know, ooh, should I get lemon or lemon lime? It's a tough one. And, you know, eventually they choose orange. And they push the button, but the button doesn't really respond on first push. And then they push it again, and it starts to fill, but they didn't realize it wasn't a toggle switch. You gotta hold it down, but there's no force feedback because, you know, it's just a touch screen. Oh, dude, it's spun, thank God. These are the things I think about. I know, I'm insane. To some extent. So, instead of taking, you know, 30 seconds to fill up your beverage, the way that it has worked since the dawn of man, well, probably since like the 1960s, it takes like 2 minutes to get up there now. And I'm not even blaming the people. I do think, you know, it would be nice if they respected the fact that there was a line behind them and went like, you know, I'll just take here's what I want, let's not waste our time, you know? But people do that at regular soda fountains too, you know, they go, I want a 30% Dr. Pepper, 30% brisk iced tea mix, you know? So I'm not gonna hate on that. I think it's the design of the machine is just there to like reduce throughput. They give people too many options that in the end are not even meaningful, you know? They all taste pretty much just like sweetened corn syrup. And I love it, don't get me wrong. But, you know, they give people the choice that's essentially irrelevant, you know? And then the people are like, ooh, I have to make the right choice. I wouldn't want to make the wrong choice and get raspberry tab when I really want, you know, watermelon tab. And then combine that with the fact that there's, you know, mechanical inefficiencies in the touchscreen itself and the delivery method. I just say, when I go to let me put it this way, you know what location does not have, or what establishment does not have Coca-Cola Freestyle machines? McDonald's. Now, I don't know if they had a meeting, at least, and this might just be in Canada, so I might eat my words. But you know, that strikes me as an organization that, for better and for worse, cares a lot about efficiency. I don't know if there was a meeting and they said, you know, here's the data on the Coca-Cola Freestyle machines. But either way, McDonald's Canada, I appreciate. You still got the old school drink fountains. I respect that. It might only save me, you know, 60 seconds every time. But, you know, I feel like I have a right to be not annoyed even, just mildly perturbed about the fact that there's a new drink machine is taking over the world. And every time I fill up a drink now, there's going to be a 60-second overhead. And what's the benefit? Like, what am I trading that minute of my life that I'll never get back for? You could add, you know, you could have half diet root beer and half not diet root beer. Excuse me, I hit the space bar? You might as well poison him. Anyway, again, it's just because it's minor. I don't think that means, you know, you're wrong. Sure, at the end of the day, if somebody brought this up on the NLSS, I would be the first person to be like, my soda can't get into my belly fast enough. You know, but at the same time, if if you're designing a new machine, why'd you make it worse? Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. But now, thanks for watching. I will see you next time. See ya.